I hate the way people talk about founders nowadays. It seems like we only have two conversations about founders. On the one hand, there are these people who worship a very small group of ultra successful founders. They think that founders are these magical, mythical creatures whose every movement needs to be studied. Their morning routines need to be copied. Their biographies need to be memorized. And then on the other side, you have this group of people that I think has a lot of contempt for founders. They think the founders are fundamentally selfish and broken people who are held captive by their own ambitions and ego and greed. I have a different view. I think that both of those conversations are incomplete and honestly pretty boring. To me, founders are interesting as people with insecurities and fears and some weird hidden talents. To me, the most interesting founders aren't the ones working on really big companies. To me, the most interesting founders are the ones working on stuff that nobody knows about, stuff that doesn't matter yet, stuff that maybe will never matter. Because for whatever you believe about founders, it's hard to deny that optimists start companies. Optimists start everything new in the world. Pessimists don't do that. And that's why, among other things, I want this podcast to be a bit of a love letter to founders, a love letter to people who build things. That's also why I wanted to have Nick Tommarello on. Nick is the founder and CEO of Wefunder. Wefunder is a funding platform that lets anyone raise money directly from their community. You've heard the ad read. I don't need to do it again. What matters is that over the last 15 years, Nick and the platform that he built have helped thousands of entrepreneurs raise over $1 billion directly from their communities. Nick himself is such a founder. Nick is a founder's founder. He's never done anything else. It's how he thinks. It's how he sees the world. It's how he sees other founders. He spends all day thinking about what it means to be a founder, what he can do, what he can build for other founders. In the best ways and even in some bad ways. In some ways that he can't even help. Nick is such a founder. I could not be more proud to have Nick on. And with that, I bring you Nick Tommarello. From Wefunder's office on Mission Street in San Francisco, this is Warm Intro. Dude, so for all these podcasts, we try to come up with a word or a concept or even sentence that we're like really sort of thinking a lot about the guest. For you, for obvious reasons, I've been thinking a lot about just the word founder. I think that you are almost like a textbook, like a scientific specimen of a founder. To me, like in all the best ways and even some of the bad ways, like you are the most foundery founder that I know. I want to kind of take this back and try to understand the origins of that. Tell me, just give me the highlight reel of your childhood a little bit. Give me the.
It's a pretty messed up childhood, but I guess the part that's relevant is that my father was basically a millionaire and bankrupt like 4 times in like this never-ending cycle.
Oh my God.
So I have these childhood memories of like, yachts and jets. And then I have these childhood memories of working, 50 hours a week in high school and paying him rent and like working nonstop every hour of the day from 7 a.m. to midnight, building a nightclub with him when you only had like 20 grand in credit card to like finance it. Oh. So I get the best of both worlds. And I think it's from that, like, I guess the effect he had on me is like, I knew from a very early age, you can do things and the world will adapt to you. So like risk tolerance, ambiguity, having that belief that you can just like make something happen against all odds, having it work.
Okay, I have a lot of questions. Did you, at any point as a kid, were you at all annoyed by this? Were you ever like, did you hold it against entrepreneurship?
Oh God, no. It was fun. Yeah, great.
You liked it?
Yeah. Everything else seems boring.
Can you give me the top 5 list of your dad's businesses in terms of just how fun they were for you as a child?
The most fun one was probably the nightclub. I was 14 years old. The good part of the job is I got to shine the lights and the pretty girls.
He's like, what light?
Yeah, the dance floor lights. I was the light on the dance floor, so you get to shine the lights and the girls.
Were those the specific instructions from your dad?
Yeah. But there's karma. So the worst part of the job is I had to clean the bathrooms when it was closed at like 4 a.m. and not a classy nightclub.
Where was this?
It was Danbury, Connecticut.
Okay. Not a famous nightlife destination.
Not a famous nightlife destination. It was called Alcatraz.
Whoa, prison-themed nightclub.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
So that's nightclub. Any other ones?
Construction company. I remember when I was 6 years old, I really wanted to be helpful. I got to like drive the backhoe, and then I want to be more helpful. So he's like, dig a ditch. And I spent all day digging this ditch. And I was very proud of myself. But I think he's had me dig holes for no reason.
What was, give me a little bit of a description on your dad. Do you think he could have held the job if he
No.
if entrepreneurship, you don't think there was any universe in which he could have just had a normal job?
Yeah, or me. Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah. What was he like? What do you think his biggest skills were that, because it's not easy to have multiple success. It's also not easy to go bankrupt multiple times, but it's not easy to make millions.
As a eulogy, I call him kind of like a pirate.
Yeah.
But yeah, he dropped out of high school, like no real formal education, but was incredibly like quick-witted, incredibly street smart, very like smart, would like out lawyers, just like figuring out how to do it. And whatever he needs to know, he'll just do.
Was he one of your entrepreneurship role models, Brian?
It's probably more nuanced than that. I think like for me, it was like, oh, this path like exists. This path is like kind of fun and exciting. I think I always want to know I want to start a company. And I think after I went to college, like, tech companies, not nightclubs. So different kind of thing.
Let me ask you about that. Most of the guests I've asked them, it's like a bit of a meme of the podcast. I keep asking people how they got into their colleges. With you, I want to ask a different question. Why did you go to college?
In retrospect, I was like, I did it incredibly stupidly. I think the playbook now is like, oh, get into Harvard, drop out, do your company, go to YC, yay. Back then, I was like incredibly unsophisticated. I'm like, I want to start a business. I should go to business school. What's the best business school? Oh, it's called Babson College, supposedly. I'm going to go there. Yeah. It's just very stupid. Retrospect, either learn how to code, well, back then, or go to Harvard, drop out.
Is there anything good that came from either going to college or getting an MBA? Any other than learning to code? Anything good you learned?
No. Yeah, you can spend 6 years getting an MBA, or you can spend like 2 months starting your company. The 2 months is like a little bit more efficient.
Let's say I'm a 16-year-old listening to this, right? And I'm trying to figure out, I want to be a founder, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not I should go to school. How do you think about that?
I think going to college is a special time in your life. Like, you're going to have community, lifelong friends. So yeah, default path, go to college. But if you want to really like maximize this thing inside of you that you have to do, you don't need to go to college to do it. Yeah. So I think you should go to college. It's fun. You can socialize properly, like, enjoy those 4 years of your life, but it's not like a prerequisite for starting the company.
What did your dad think of you wanting to go to college and wanting to get an MBA?
Oh, I think he was like proud, but I don't think he realized how the world works in terms of like the tech world.
Yeah. Man, tell me about the start of your entrepreneurial journey, because you had a few ventures, right, before Wefunder.
Yeah, the first one was rather incompetently run. So yeah, I got the MBA, graduated, and then kind of quickly you realize everything I learned was like wrong. Like, the person who is important is not the person who makes the slide deck and raises the money. The person that is important is the one who actually is able to like build this thing from their soul and make it exist. Yeah. Nowadays, like, YC, take it all for granted. Back then, it wasn't conventional wisdom. Back then, it was like, oh, get your MBA and go raise money with the VCs, then go give some engineer 1% of the company to go build it for you. And I think in retrospect, moved so slow. The first company was basically a mobile gaming company, pre-iPhone, like way too early, complete dark ages. And back then I would pitch it like as this like augmented reality experience where you're like inside of a movie or the main character in a book, and you get missions delivered to your phone. You race around the city and find treasure and meet
What year was
actors. 2004.
That was very ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Way too early. And I made a little small business out of it. We had like a good tourism business where instead of like sitting on a bus and hearing some tour guide drone on, you get to race around the city over 2 hours and like learn about the history and the culture where you are. And then most of the real money came from like basically corporate team building. I learned that like these finance guys would pay me like $100,000 to do whatever I said. Mm-hmm. It's like 3 hours, whatever I said, they would just like do. Like once I put like 5,000 rubber ducks in a pool and gave all these guys in suits like nets to go get as many ducks out of the pool as possible. Just so I wanted to see them do it. And there's no other reason. And then one like guy in his 60s in his suit just stares at me as I'm like, how do I win? I'm like, just dive in the pool and get the ducks. And he fucking did it.
Oh my God, dude.
That was fun.
Dude, that is like, was it a Stanford prison experiment? Like that level of sociological experiment. Yeah. You take a bunch of finance dudes in suits.
Super competitive.
You just give them any game and they'll pay you a lot of money to play it.
Yeah. Then I guess the way that story ended, I was 5 years too early. When the iPhone was finally announced, I was told I could be on stage with Steve Jobs for the original iPhone announcement.
Wait, who told you this?
Like Apple senior like person who's in charge of figuring out which of these apps is going to be on stage with Steve Jobs.
Okay.
And all I had to do was take my mock-ups and actually make the app. And I couldn't code back then, so I hired a bunch of people. I had an Indian firm, I had a Chinese firm, I had some guy in Boston. All three people trying to make this app.
Yeah.
All three teams could not get it done in time.
Oh no.
So I basically missed out on being on stage with Steve Jobs. The guy on that stage was Sam Altman. Dude,
I knew this story, but I wanted to hear you tell it. This is for Looped, right?
That's for Looped, yeah.
My God, man. I think, dude, I have so many things to react to based off what we said. Like one thing I've noticed a lot now, I'll go back to, because I did the second version of that, right? I went to goodish school and then dropped out and started my company. And now they'll have me come back and talk about like how Berkeley can help you become an entrepreneur. And I always open with the same thing. I'm like, asking how Berkeley can help you become an entrepreneur is like asking how the Catholic Church can help you become an atheist. Like you're at the wrong place, man. You're asking the wrong question. The other joke I always tell about it is, I heard this comedian say, when his grandfather moved to America, they told him the roads were paved with gold. And when he got here, he learned three things. Number one, the roads were not paved with gold. Number two, the roads were not paved. Number three, he would be the one paving them. And I think that's what entrepreneurship used to feel like, even when I was getting started. And colleges didn't have accelerators. They had these like really outdated courses on how you should start companies. And they were just basically like borrowed, like sort of watered down MBA courses. And I would go so far as to say, I still think this is true for MBAs. I wonder what you think. Like, I bet against a founder when I hear that they have an MBA.
That's why I don't tell people that. You outed me. You literally outed me.
No, we'll cut it
Thanks,
out.
man.
No, but it's... why do you think MBAs are so historically bad at starting companies?
There's probably some adverse selection in the pool of people who want to apply to them, myself included.
Yeah.
I think I was just very naive. Like, I want to start a business. I need to learn how to start a business. I'm going to go to school so they can teach me. It's just like, usually it's like you have the agency is like, I want to start a business. I'm going to go start the business and get started now. And I'm ready. I don't need anything except like my sheer drive to go do it.
Yeah.
And then part of it is just like, you just can't read a book to learn this stuff. I mean, the whole thing of starting a business is defaulting to action and velocity and speed, which is like the opposite of like going to school.
And I mean, specifically MBAs to me are, when you think about people who go get MBAs, I think it's very specifically people who need 2 years to just think about what to do next.
That or status or safety or indecision if they want to go into banking or finance where you need a credential versus actually start the company. I think there's a genre of people who think it's like kind of fun and cool to start a company, but don't really want to go through the pain and grind and perseverance. Then Might dabble in it, but not really want to do it.
Dude, my favorite line about Silicon Valley is, it's a bubble when the pretty people show up. And I feel that way about MBAs. But I do also think that it was it feels, hopefully, fingers crossed, that it was a blip in time, that it feels like companies used to be started by people who had, I'm talking 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way really up to like the 80s, that companies were started by people who had deep product knowledge. The guy that came up with Coke presumably loved making Cokes or making drinks and then came up with Coca-Cola, whatever, right? It was started with people that had a product in mind or a drive to make a thing. And then the economy got much more financialized, right? Starting in the 80s, and it became much more about, and then like the whole like Jack Welch, GE principles of like, you don't need to get good at any one particular business. You just need to get good at business, period, right? And I think that it also feels like a bit of like an overhang from that. And now I hope what Silicon Valley has done is kind of brought us back to more like, you need to be good at your business. You need to be good at product, and you need to have drive for your thing, not just be generically good at business. You react to that. What do you think?
No, I think there was a time in society when people thought you can train business workers like an industrial process, and middle management was like this technical thing that could be perfected. And then you had to like understand these skills in order to run these gigantic companies at massive scale. And I think we've seen the last 30 years a fragmentation where, if you grew up in the 40s or 50s or 60s, like you want to like build rockets, you go to NASA and you go work alongside 100,000 people to go build a rocket. Now you get to go to SpaceX or Blue Origin, like smaller, faster moving, high velocity teams. And I think Silicon Valley is like the extreme version of that. You just go to YC with 4 people. You can run circles around Google.
This was not on my list. What decade do you wish you were born in?
I don't know, maybe millennia, a decade. I don't know, maybe 500 BC would be kind of cool.
That's not what I expected at all. Why 500 BC?
I don't know, like. Just curious what happened. It just seemed like life was more meaningful back then. Like, I don't know.
Do you think you would have been a founder in 500 BC?
Whatever the equivalent was. Maybe a explorer. I think actually what I wanted to be was Indiana Jones. So I guess the decade question, maybe 1920, so I can go find some lost treasures.
Yeah.
Be kind of cool, like, founding a country would be kind of neat, Go get your tribe and go across the sea and find the other island and take it over.
So tell me, when you first started thinking about Wefunder, when you first started thinking about starting this thing?
It was I think October 2011. And then I heard that the House was debating the law to legalize it so that normal people could invest, not just the wealthy.
Yeah.
And that interested me because I know I always wanted to invest in my friends. I always thought it'd be kind of impossible. So I never really pursued that line of thought. But I'm like, oh, this would be really cool. Like, there's so many things I want to invest in that aren't public, or my friends, or things I use. Because got me pretty excited that this could actually be a thing.
Yeah. And
that's what kind of led me into the lobbying effort.
Tell me about that, because presumably you knew nothing. You probably didn't know anyone in Washington, right?
No one. Yeah.
What was the first contact you made? How did you even get started with that? All right. So in January 2012, I just made a little website. I basically did a hack where instead of just saying I support this bill, it's I support this bill and I would invest X dollars if it was legal. And I kind of engineered it so that number was I think $10 million in a few hours. It's $10 million. Want to invest in creating jobs, and then got that mentioned a lot in the press. And then I had a friend who had another friend who's going to present in the small business committee in the Senate or something. And they displayed the website 2 days later. And they're like, oh, wow, so much money is waiting to be, invested in job creating small business owners and founders. And then from there, I basically lined up a bunch of introductions so that I could went to DC a week later and met the staffs of 3 different senators, the president's office, and a couple of congressmen. You met with President Obama, right?
Oh, no, his tech person on this, Doug Rand.
I've seen a picture of you with Obama.
I did not shake Obama's hand. I was maybe in the vicinity.
What is he like from a vicinity?
I have no idea.
No? So you Dude, by the way, like, I don't think this is talked about enough. There are accomplishments for entrepreneurs that don't even register on the map of, like, I think civilians, right? And getting a bill passed so that you can start the company and build an industry is like fucking tippy top. Like, that is, very few entrepreneurs can claim to have done that.
I mean, devil's advocate, it's just good timing.
Tell me about that. What do you mean by good timing?
The narrative in the country is like the post 2008 period. It's like the economy is kind of like sputtering. It's not like strong enough. We need to create more jobs, which is like a pretty good moment for a bipartisan like capital like formation, as they call it. Like, how do we give more capital to founders?
Yeah.
It's like one of those rare moments where a bipartisan bill is actually possible.
Yeah.
And so if that whole narrative didn't exist, it wouldn't have worked.
Dude, tell me, let's linger on this for a second. So I get the sense, not just from you, from everyone that works at Wefunder, that, you know, the whole like missionary versus mercenary thing that's very popular in Silicon Valley. Wefunder, I think, is a missionary company. And I think that there's like a deep kind of moral drive and what Wefunder does, much more so than I think most of the companies that I've sort of come across in the Valley. You can tell me if this isn't how you think about this, but I don't think for you, from my interactions with you, I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, this is good for the economy, this is good business. I think you think it's morally the better path. Morally, this is what we should have. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, moral is a heavy word, but it kind of switched over time for me. Like, I think I started the business more on the investor side. Like, it is wrong that I can go gamble in Las Vegas, but the government is stopping me from investing in things I really want to invest in.
Yeah.
But I go gamble. That makes no freaking sense at all. And now I think what drives me more is like, in Silicon Valley, this is not like the biggest problem. Like, you know, relative to other regions in the world, money basically falls out of the sky. You'd be 19 years old and raise like $5 million for like your thing that was didn't exist like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But across most of the globe, that's like doesn't work that way. And it frustrates me to see like so much like raw potential, so many talented people who don't have either the self-belief, the people who believe in them, or the money in order to actually go down this path where they actually can do what they care about. So that kind of drives me more these days.
In an ideal world, do you think we have twice as many entrepreneurs? Do you think we have 10 times as many entrepreneurs?
I think it's a little more nuanced. I think not everybody really should be like, a founder. It's like a very hard, gruesome path where you're being punched in the face over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So people have to really like want to do something. And so maybe there's like 3 or 4 or 5 times more people out there who, if they believed that they had the capability, that they can go do that. But I think it's also really good to be on a founding team.
Yeah.
So many more smaller companies started with people aren't a cog in the wheel, but actually feel like real ownership, whether it be the founder or the founding team. That to me is like much more interesting.
Dude, I think this is the thing that isn't talked about enough is, I don't know how you solve this problem. I'm not smart enough to know how to solve this problem, but it's crazy how few people have a true sense of meaning around their work. And whether you get that by being a founder or being part of a founding team, I would love for that to be 10x or 100x. I don't know, man. COVID really, I think, like exposed this. I used to live in this building in Potrero. They had like a big window because there was a loft, and I would see across the street, these like apartment windows. And every morning, I would see exactly around like 8:55, people would walk out, not wearing pants, but wearing the top half, right? And they would, because they'd all push their desks up against a window. So I could see like a grid of 4 by 16 windows, and they would plug into their desk and they would sit down. And then I would see as the evening would come on, that the lights would go down, and then they would all turn the computers off. They would leave. And the only thing reminded, you see those like videos of like factory farms where they plug in the cows, and they just extract value. Yeah. That's what it felt like. And I have a hard time imagining that anybody felt like that was a good. You have a phrase that I really like. You say, "Is it worth my life?" Am I saying it correctly? Right.
Close enough.
I don't think any of those people thought that was worth their life. If you truly believe that you're going to live once, if you truly internalize YOLO, why the fuck would you want to live that kind of corporate life? I genuinely don't. And maybe this is saying more about
safety, comfort, status, all false illusions, I think. But
man, to me, dude, like safety and comfort ain't worth shit if you don't feel like moment to moment what you're doing is worth it. I'm not like
I'm with you, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I'm asking the wrong guy to explain. But okay. But let's bring this back. So fast forwarding 15 years, almost 15 years, right? 2011, you get this bill passed. It is now 2025, almost 2026. Over $1 billion raised on Wefunder, which is a mind-boggling number, right? $1 billion raised and invested in Wefunder. Let's start the very stereotypical question. What's been the most surprising thing to you in the last 15 years? About this business, about this industry, about being a founder at this scale?
Yeah, I have a hard time answering that question because the things that were surprising now to me are just conventional wisdom. So I have to rewind my brain to the past and oh, what surprised me. I remember I wasn't really surprised, but I remember being really pleasantly happy that after the 4 to 5 year wait for the regulations to roll out, that people actually wanted to invest. Because most startups, you have an idea, you go talk to your customers, you get started. 2 months later, you have data. This one, we had to wait 5 years. Yeah. And so, finally in 2016, when those regulations actually happened, that 5 year wait, oh my God, this is great. People actually want to do this. This is amazing. And then watching all the notes that investors would write when they get to invest in their favorite founders or companies is incredibly heartwarming. Yeah. And so in a sense, it wasn't a real surprise. I bet 5 years that this would actually happen, but it was kind of cool that I was that what I felt, other people felt too. They wanted to support people they believed in or the companies they cared about.
I still have a folder on my laptop with the best messages we got from people. A truck driver in Idaho left me a message after investing in my Wefunder campaign and said, I know it's an exaggeration to say I'm getting emotional thinking about it, but I feel very sentimental about all of it. He left me a note about saying, I've never invested in anything. And this is the first time. And we had teachers from the South and, accountants from California. And we had random uncles, just random brown uncles from all over the world that invested. Those are the categories of people in my mind. But dude, I think one thing that is not, dude, I wanted to push back on some of the core stuff around Wefunder, but I can't really effectively do it given my track record of having raised 3 Wefunder rounds. I'm just not a credible.
2 biased actors.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, I think one thing that wasn't, I know why Wefunder can't do this in the marketing, right? Because nobody would believe it. So I can kind of talk about it I talk about it in the ad read for the show too, but it was it was a spiritual experience for me raising that round, especially that second one that we raised, because I was convinced that everybody hated us. But what it was that everybody in the Valley very specifically for a short time period hated my industry. And I took that to mean
not you personally.
Well, that too, also, I'm sure. But I was convinced that people hated what I was doing and that nobody wanted us to exist. And I raised that Wefunder round, and we were out of money. That's my bank. The bank account was my proxy for figuring out how much people liked us. And we raised a Wefunder round, and I think it was I'm gonna get this wrong, but $200,000 in the first couple of hours. And it changed the psychic energy of the company. Where all of a sudden people were no. This is great, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan starts playing rock, and people start showing up in his tour in UK just to boo him. And he's his band is just what the fuck is going on? We're here to play music. We just get booed all day. And one day he shows back up and he's talking to the band, which was called The Band. And he says, you know what? They're all fucking wrong. And we're right. And we're going to keep doing this. And then that totally changed how they played their music. And that's how I felt the Wefunder round was for us, where I was able to go to my team and be like, fuck all of them. We know what we're doing is right. And I don't care if anybody else sees it. I know these people see it. Yep. And it totally changed how we felt about the business. But anyway, so that's this will replace the ad read for this episode. But what's been the most surprising thing to you about managing a team?
I don't know. There's this moment in 2022 when we were briefly like 90 people.
Yeah.
And then just seeing how fast that like bureaucracy and complacency can infect any sufficiently large org headcount, even only 90.
Yeah.
And then just seeing that seeing things that make no sense happening and seeing all this bureaucracy. I'm like, what? Don't you care? Don't you feel like ownership over this? And then we eventually downsized the team by half when the interest rates went up. And then with half the people, we just did 3 times more stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, it's I think you intellectually know that when you live through it. It's half the resources, we got double the output.
Yeah.
Because less friction, less bureaucracy. And then see my role in that. It's so the next time I get to 90, how do I stop that from happening again?
I'm actually really blown away by, because my wife has mostly worked in big tech, and I'll talk to her, and it's there's 1 in 1,000 companies that are able to scale past 100 people and not become obnoxiously bureaucratic. And I think it's just something about people. It's just comfort in numbers, where you can kind of just oh, there's 89 other people here. I'm sure somebody else is doing it.
And you always want to understand what everybody else is doing and have them check in with you. Everybody wants to be in the loop. There's an insatiable need for information that can never be quenched.
Yeah. Dude, are you a fan of the Amazon 2 pizza?
Yeah. I tried to promote that too. Yeah, that helps a bit.
It's for people that don't know, it's Bezos, I think, had a rule, right? That any meeting, no meeting should be so big that it can't be fed with 2 large pizzas. I'm a fan of that. But so coming back to this, do you think we can cut this out if you don't want this in? But do you think that Wefunder and community rounds were blackballed by VCs?
No. I don't know. It seems that the best VCs like Andreessen Horowitz has no problem with this at all. It's not a big deal. And then maybe there's 3rd tier VCs who live in the Midwest who are 90 years old who are don't do that new thing that's actually over 10 years old. It might scare off the VCs. And so there might be a perception among the 2nd or 3rd tier VCs. But I mean, Substack, Replit, Mercury, Arrived, Beehive, we've found of good venture-backed companies, no problem.
Yeah. And how about Wefunder itself? What kind of reaction did you get when you would go out to fundraise from VCs? Did you ever try to do that?
Only once, and we never actually. I mean, the cool thing about Wefunder is that we eat our own dog food.
Yeah.
Our own customers have given us somewhere over $20 million over the last decade.
Wow.
So we've never actually had to raise money from VCs. And I think VC is it can be wonderful if you're the exact company that needs it at that point in time. You are on the rocket ship. You can easily take, $100 million and then you know exactly how to turn that into $1 billion in a couple of years.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of company, it's great. I think what's much more common is that you get the $100 million and you completely blow it and you build a really bad business with no actual sustainable value, and you go bankrupt. And I think the nuanced thing is that you can actually have a pretty good business and then still destroy it by overfunding everything.
Yes.
And so I think Wefunder has had consistent compounding growth that we can basically fund with the money we have. And if with the exception of late 2021, when it was peak ZERP, peak COVID, I'm oh, this is it. We finally 10X in a year. We can 10X again. That's the only time period where I actually went out and tried to get VC capital. We got a term sheet. It's a long story, but yeah.
Do you like VCs? Just at a personal level, let me come out with my take. So just so you feel comfortable saying this, as a group of people, and we raised VC funding for our company, and I'm sure I will raise VC funding for other things in the future. I found venture capitalists in San Francisco to be a more humorless group and just a generally more kind of devoid of charm than any other. I'm generalizing, obviously. There are some amazing VCs. Some of them are very good friends of mine. Some of them were my wedding. So the ones that gave me money were...
They're amazing. Everybody else...
humanitarian. They deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. But there were... there are obviously good VCs out there. Some, I assume, are good people. But no, I really found... There's something about that industry, man. Just like the MBA thing. And I mean, a lot of the MBAs go on to become VCs. I just found it to be my simple test for whether or not I like somebody is how often I see them laughing at themselves. And as a professional group, I find VCs laugh less at themselves than almost any. Founders take themselves, for the most part, very lightly because you get the shit kicked out of you every 2 hours. And VCs, I think, like, because you constantly have these very smart people, founders, sort of sucking up to you and like trying to get you to be part of their thing, they get such big heads, and they just, I don't know, I wonder how you feel about this, but I found personally a lot of VCs to be very unlikable.
Yeah, I have no problem with VCs, probably because there's so many different kinds of humans that label can describe. I think I'm more naturally drawn towards the builder types. And there are builder type VCs that might have been a founder in a previous life.
Yeah.
Or they've been like a really strong operator and they've been through some measure of grind and they have some wisdom from that they want to share. And like, I definitely respect those people. There might be the more annoying genre of, the person in their mid-20s who has never actually built anything, who is like the junior associate that thinks everything they say is like gold and they're really, really smart and they don't actually understand anything.
Yeah.
That's more annoying, but, it's also everybody has to go through that phase of life,
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just a natural phase of life, and in 5 years, they'll probably figure it out that actually they don't know anything.
Yeah. God. I wonder because I know what it is for founders. I know what like puts your ego in check. I mean, there are like a billion examples of things that like your ego literally is not allowed to grow for more than 5 seconds uninterrupted as a founder.
I guess what I dislike is that just by the nature of the job, they are giving money. They have high status in the perception of the universe.
Yeah.
When someone can, be 24 years old and have never built anything, but they have like high status because like some VC hired them to be an associate.
Yeah.
That, like, I think is a little backwards. I actually think the high status should be the people in the trenches building the thing, even if they're failing.
Yes. Dude, the most upsetting version of that to me is when I see founders giving them very high status.
Yeah.
You should be kind to everybody as a founder. If you can do nothing else, be kind to everybody, right? Be kind to most people. But I see it with my founder friends, and it's like it's a post-seed round or post-pre-seed sort of hangover where you see they start to, because VCs were trying to woo them, you just fresh out of YC. Maybe you were one of the hotter companies in the batch, and people are trying to woo you. And I see them, I go like 2 to 3 weeks without seeing them. And then all of a sudden I run into them at a party and they've started to dress like VCs and talk like VCs. And I'm like, oh no, my guy, you're on the wrong track.
Well, we shouldn't just shit on VCs. There's definitely the kind of hotshot founder that just like start at the exact boom and like everybody says they're brilliant.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later they flame out because like it was just that's just how life goes.
Yeah, I think like what you can never remove is just the status games from any industry, right? But anyway, now let's pull this away from VCs. Let's bring it back to founders. I genuinely don't know anyone else that spends as much time being a founder, thinking about founders, helping founders as you do. You like professionally help founders, right? If we were to, let's workshop this together. If we were to create sort of like a Tommarello doctrine of entrepreneurship, what's in there? Like what to you goes into being a good founder? What are the qualities of what are things that you think founders shouldn't do? And it's fine for this to be subjective. It's supposed to be subjective.
Yeah, I think I'm just brainwashed by YC. I think kind of the way YC is like the answer.
Yeah.
High velocity, formidability, running through walls, figuring out how to get the mission accomplished, being adaptable, being resilient, talk to customers, build a product, talk to customers, build a product faster and faster and faster, default to action. These are all like common sense generic things, but I think it's deeply true.
I would add to that, like knowing what a vanity, what vanity metrics are and vanity successes versus actual success. Like I think the strongest lesson I learned going through YC was when I first walked in and saw their office. And it's, for anyone that doesn't know me, the new office is kind of nice. Back when we went through YC, it could have been like a Coldwell Banker. Like it was white walls, one gray couch, a couple of pictures that are way too small for the wall. And that was it, right? And I remember, and there would be like tour groups of tourists that would come back because they'd heard about YC, and buses would stop, and they would be so disappointed to see that it looked like an office, like an accountant's office at a strip mall. It was, to me, like, have you noticed this thing that people who go through YC start to sound similar? And like, I think it changed how I talk.
Yeah, they definitely, I'm not sure they use all the same exact words, but yeah, it definitely changes how you think.
I think your number one operating principle, at least for me, became clarity in thinking and clarity in communication. Even now when people ask me, like, how do I get into IC? That's the main thing. I mean, I'm curious about your advice here because I'm sure people ask you. To me, the big thing is like, it's almost not about the ideas. And it's not about anything, not almost, it is definitely not about the startup idea. It's about your action, your bias towards action and your clarity in explaining the startup idea.
Yeah, and I think that clarity comes from like deeply thinking about your customers, like obsessing over it. You know, sometimes people apply to IC with a week that's like, a week old, idea that's a week old, and that's totally fine. But the people who like really think through every single detail, go deeper and deeper and deeper, I think they stand out during the interview.
Let me give you a couple of words. If you can rank these for me in order of importance for you, right, just in your life. The word community, having a community personally, adventure, accomplishment, and recognition. Maybe recognition could be put with a slash, which is slash status.
Recognition and status is at the end. I don't think I've done things to maximize that at all. This is one of the very few podcasts I even do. So then there's adventure, community, and accomplishment. Probably accomplishment first. Then I think my heart says community, but I think I go for adventure more than community.
I was really curious to see if you would see through.
Yeah. So I guess it's probably the way I've actually lived. It's accomplishment, adventure, community, recognition.
And what kind of accomplishment do you care about now?
I don't know, justifying my existence. Like I lived on this earth for, a brief period of time and it mattered.
That's a rich idea. It mattered.
Every founder.
In what way do you hope you will have mattered? Your existence will have mattered?
I don't know. It's like every founder that Wefunder helps fund or helps like put them on a path. Every person those founders hire, every customer that those people help, it's like seems like a pretty good way to like, at least in our modern day capitalist society, to have lots of companies out there like improving the world. And if I can play some small part in that engine, then I think it mattered.
Do you think about that sometimes? Just laying in bed, can't sleep. Do you like imagine the scale of what Wefunder's already done in that way?
I'm just very short term focused on what I'm going to do next week. But in the long term, it's like you just scale it out, fund thousands more, fund billions more, more money going to people who want to do things.
Because I used to have a version of that where I would think about, as an e-commerce company, I would think about the millions and millions of times a day our products were being touched and used. And that used to make me like, in my worst moments when I felt like we'd really accomplished nothing, I would just think about that and that would give me a little bit of solace. But that's actually a beautiful idea, man, to expand. And I think that's why founders are so important. That's why we need so much of this. That's why we need Wefunder, is to like, because the impact of it is way more far reaching than you just helped one person start one company, right? Okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that's also, I guess, why YC is called Y Combinator.
Yeah. Same
principle.
Exactly. Okay, so I have a theory about you, and I kind of want you to respond to it. I think, you mentioned at the very top, risk tolerance and like this kind of comfort with new things. I'm going to say, not only do you tolerate risk, I think you like risk, and I think you like a little bit of chaos. I think you want a little bit of chaos in your life. I think and I'm projecting, but I think it makes you feel more alive. Do you agree with this?
I'm thinking. The rational part of my brain says risk is necessary. And within Wefunder, I consider my role as breaking up the complacency. I think people generally want to play it safe and are not comfortable like taking some risks that have bad consequences. And as CEO of Wefunder, I do the opposite extreme. So people go a little bit towards me. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, this is the only thing you can do. We want to move fast enough. We have to take risks.
Yes.
Yes. Do I intrinsically like it? It makes it more exciting? Yeah, probably. but I don't think of like risk in that way. I don't know. And I think of the highlights of my like professional life is like when you have a small aligned team doing the impossible and then you do it. That's cool. Like everything's on the line, everything matters, everybody's just like pure executing, there's no bullshit, and then you like accomplish the mission. Those are the best moments.
What does your watch say?
It says failure is not an option.
Do you remind yourself of those words often?
These days I haven't needed to, thankfully, but I got this watch in one of the harder years of my life, 2018, when like everything almost entirely fell apart. It was the most gruesome part of the grind. And then, we got through it and whatever. But I think the mantra was failure is not an option. Just keep on pushing through.
Do you have any other mantras like that? I've heard you say a couple.
Probably. What you heard me say?
Well, give me the line about cowards.
Okay, wait. I actually forget the exact words of this. Like, the cowards never started, and the weak.
The cowards never. The cowards never started, and the weak died along the way. Yeah,
that's also a 2018 thing. The cowards never started, the weak died along the way. Yeah, I haven't said that also in a while. It's my Slack message still, but I haven't updated that in a while.
Dude, it's crazy like how much. I was always surprised by where those like words of wisdom came from for me when I was going through hard moments with the company. I remember, this is so embarrassing. We were going through, I don't know, one of 300 times that we ran out of money, right? And it seemed truly like impossible to overcome it. And my brain kept trying to find ways to like sort of circumvent it and all that. And then I was at the mall and I saw an Under Armour ad and it said the only way out is through. And I made it my wallpaper.
You just bought a bunch of Under Armour.
And so then I went all in on Under Armour and that saved the company. No, but okay. Let's talk about zooming out. Wefunder is part of your professional life. Your professional life is part of your life. Overall in your life, actually, I'm curious about something. Who do you think has in your life understood you the best?
I don't really feel well understood, so probably no one.
That's why I'm asking. Who do you think has understood you the best? Still,
Jiwan's up there.
Okay, that's our producer, Jiwan, for people that don't know. She really should have been. I tried to get her to do this interview, but she didn't.
She's done so many times.
Yeah, no, it's. I imagine it's hard to ask the same question over and over, but all right. I have one last question for you. I think I know the answer.
You just came up with that outline.
Well, no, I think you answered it. I think it's what I did. One person I did want to talk about that I think I sort of omitted at the beginning was I did want to talk about your grandmother a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
So she raised me from 10 years old to 15 is probably why I'm somewhat functional. She's a pretty cool story. Well, maybe cool is the wrong word, but she stopped school in 8th grade, had to go work to provide for the family, got married at 17, had a kid at 18, got divorced at 19, had to be a single mom in New York City in the late 50s, early 60s, like providing for her family. It's like one of those people that's incredibly wise, but like hard-earned like life wisdom versus like, oh, I went to school and I'm book smart. It was like in some ways the smartest person I met and very, very strong given all the adversity she went through. I
have a final question for you to finish this thing up. I think I know the answer, but I still want to ask it. When you die, if you die.
I'm probably going to die. Yeah, it seems like one of those things that's almost guaranteed.
This is a two-parter. Number one, what do you want your tombstone to read? And number two, would you rather die completely irrelevant or deeply disliked?
All right. Tombstone. He mattered and disliked.
He mattered and hopefully not, but if it has to be, disliked but deeply significant.
Well, I think if you accomplish anything, there's going to be like half the people who just hate you.
That's just
the way it works.
I think we should all aspire to do things where we have haters.
Yeah,
I think
it's good to have like strong feelings one way or the other. Just apathy is the worst.
apathy is the worst. Nick Tommarello, thanks so much for being on the podcast, man.
Happy to be here.
That was one of the shortest.
Was it?
I think so.
I think I'm more concise.
Yeah. No, Nick is very concise. Warm Intro is produced by G1 Moon. Associate producer, Alex Seiko. Audio and video work by Jin Han. Hosted by me, Chai Mishra.